have reached the scheduled starting time. My name is Dr. Mark Cummings, and Dr. Dasher asked me to be the local host for today. Dr. Dasher is in China with Dr. Chen, who is scheduled to be our presenter today. And of course, we're having communications difficulty. But hopefully that will be straightened out in a minute or two. As a kind of a way to start today, I think it's important to take a little bit of a historical perspective. For the last 100 years, there's been a tension between the academy's view of information, which is that results are published and shared for the advancement of science and the betterment of humanity, and a commercial and national security view which seeks to capture intellectual property for commercial purposes or for national security purposes. Recently, that tension has become very severe. And it leads to a question. And I don't have an answer to the question. But I think it's important to ask the question. And it's possible that some of you will have thoughts or answers or considerations around this question. The question is, how should the academy operate in this environment of heightened tension around intellectual property for commercial and national security purposes? It's something that I have to deal with in my professional life, kind of minute by minute now. As students, it's something that is, I'm sure, at least some of you are thinking about and trying to figure out what it means for you. As people in industry who are here, you have similar problems. And for leaders in the academy, this is a serious question. Well, we're still working on communication. So, this is something that we all have to struggle with. And we've seen a change in behavior at Stanford in the last 6 to 9 months, and we've seen a change in behavior at many other universities around the world in the last 6 to 9 months. Cooperative programs have been canceled, and I'm sure some of you are looking at the news from different sources from different countries and getting different opinions about what is happening. But it's something that we as, and I'm just focusing on this in terms of the academy, need to think about how we're going to deal with it. Our speaker is scheduled for today is Dr. Chen, who has an innovative way to organize a university, and he was going to tell us about that. And I'm hoping that that's still possible. Do we have an ETA?
They have to try a VPN.
So maybe 5 minutes?
Maybe. They're trying.
Okay. So given that we have time, and I know that you're not prepared for this because it was not on the agenda for this meeting today, and I don't know whether you want to even talk about it. But yes.
I can relate one of the conference I attended a few days ago in back to...
Speak loud enough that everybody can hear you, please.
I need this.
I don't have a... Well, if you want to come up here and you can, we can share the microphone.
Some of the people... Okay, 2 days ago, I went to back to conference center to attend a conference with the same topic that you said. And Condoleezza Rice, the Secretary of State, laid out her ideas. Number one is the 3D: defense, define, and denial, access of our intellectual property and the national secrecy. The second idea she has is we have to create channel so that United States and China would communicate with each other through different channels so that we understand our motives, because I believe there's a misunderstanding of the motives. We are a free and trust society, and on the other hand, China is a closed and from top-down management. The third one she mentioned is we have to have confidence on ourselves as United States. We have to out-create or out-innovate our adversary. That's what I can transmit to you all from Condi's.
Okay, so just for the people who can't hear, this previous speaker was summarizing a talk given by Condoleezza Rice and stating a position about China, which had three pieces. One, which was to capture and defend intellectual property.
No. United States to China.
Well, I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to summarize it.
A United States policy toward China is a defense, define, and denial.
Defend, define, and deny.
Yeah, deny the access to our
Assets. Intellectual property assets.
Intellectual property.
And the second point?
The second point is we have to
No,
create a
just
channel.
2 words, 3 words.
Yeah, we have the same philosophy. Create a channel to communicate. For example, like...
Okay, so create a channel to communicate.
I can give you an example, actually. When China created the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, the United States does not want to participate, but British participate. So her opinion is such that if we participate in the infrastructure bank, investment bank, then we create the Asian country, build them up to be strong so that we come on an equal stage with the China. That's her idea, right? So this create a channel to communicate and work with China instead of competing with each other.
Okay, so create a channel to communicate with China. All right. Does anybody else have a comment or a thought? Yes, please.
Denial is fine, but in the case of intellectual property, cyber theft is such a major issue. Can you have effective denial?
So, given that cyber theft is such an issue in our world today, can we protect intellectual property? That's the question.
Yeah.
I think it's a good question. Does anybody else have a comment they would like to make on this subject?
If I may add another comment.
Go ahead. Let him complete.
Okay.
So,
Go ahead.
I know right from the founding of U.S., patents were supposed to be a deal between the government and the inventor, stating that if you disclose to us, then we give you the right to protect that intellectual property for 20 years, 17 years at that time. So that was the deal struck between the entrepreneur, the idea person, and the government. And that should be the deal that helps us innovate faster. Okay? And that is why innovators innovate. If you copy my idea, it doesn't matter which country. If you copy my idea tomorrow, I'm going to not write a single article. I'm not going to write any story, nothing. Okay? That without that, there's no creativity.
So, may I summarize for you? And you tell me if I get it wrong, of course. So, I think you had 2 points. One, and this is from the point of view of the inventor, that the idea of patent protection was key from the very earliest days of the founding of the United States, and that it's a deal. And the deal is if you disclose your innovation in this structured way, the government will make sure that people who want to use your idea have to give you fair compensation. And the speaker suggests that without such a deal, no inventor will ever disclose. Are we, yes?
I think we're in a case.
Okay, so hopefully I will disappear from the screen and Professor Dasher will, Dr. Dasher and Dr. Chen will appear. And I will be here after the presentation, assuming that everything works now. And if you want to continue this discussion, I'm happy to listen. Dr. Dasher, please. You're on
Thanks.
camera.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks very much for filling in a few minutes. Can everybody there in the room hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Good morning.
So, good morning. I'm here with Dr. Shawn Chen, who is the founder and chairman of Sias University. And we're at the Sias University campus, which is near the city of Zhangzhou in Henan province in China. So this is really an amazing story that I'm very glad that we have a chance to share with you. So Dr. Chen is as I said, the founder of this university. His education is both from China and in the United States. And before starting the university, he was a serial entrepreneur. He founded several companies, including some in the hospitality industry and also a metal door manufacturing business, and created the Sias Group in 1992. In 1998, he had this passion to really build up international education in China, and he was able to start out this university as a joint venture between the existing Zhangzhou University and a university in the US. So they're celebrating their 20th anniversary this week. And now the university, which is independent, has over 31,000 students and a beautiful campus that really should be a tourist attraction. It's absolutely a drop-dead gorgeous set of buildings. And at nighttime when they're lighted up, it's even more impressive. I'm here because of a meeting that Dr. Chen is hosting, the Joint Conference of the Association of Universities of the Asia Pacific and also the International Association of University Presidents. And Dr. Chen is the president of the Association of Universities of Asia Pacific. He's also got some good Bay Area connections that people might not know about. He is the China representative for Plug and Play, and he's helped open incubators in Beijing, in Shanghai, in Hangzhou, in Xi'an, in Shenzhen, in Zhangzhou, and in other locations throughout China. And so he's very committed to building up entrepreneurship among students in China, as well as international understanding among students in China. So let me turn the microphone over to Dr. Chen, and as he's getting started, we'll switch to slide share. Thanks very much for speaking this morning.
Sure. I'm so happy and so honored to speak with Stanford students. And just like Richard said, and then a little bit. Let me just first of all talk a little bit about myself and my background. Of course, this is a remote and this is a long distance sometimes, so technically we have to work it out. So if there is a stop and we're working on something technically, and then we're not, of course, I'm not showing. I didn't. First of all, let me give a little bit about my background. I'm going to show the slides of school, just like Richard said, it's a beautiful campus. Myself, a little bit of myself, and I was born in Chongqing, which is one of the very beautiful city in the southwest. Then I grown up there, and then 1970. Of course, I was born 61, of course, and definitely, and then I really grew up in culture, China culture revolution. I guess many people know that's the sort of hard time for China and for many people. Since 1966, and they stopped higher education. 1977 and 78 was the first year they opened up for students, for people to apply for universities. So 1978, fortunately, of course, I got into Chongqing University and studied the 4 years, and then basic science was my major. Then after that, I went to United States for my further education. Because of I always love education, I choose to study more and then education, higher education management. So that was, but during the time and when I was studying in the U.S., I always back and forth, and then between U.S. and China, and then really, and then try to start and more, exchange in education and the culture. Because of back and forth, I got some opportunity to get involved with some of earlier startup manufacturers in Chongqing because that was my hometown. I helped started an olive company, which is cosmetic, and then of course when I was doing intern in Procter & Gamble, then I recommended them to do something like what, of course, which earlier days and the Chinese people don't use, like shampoo. In the early days, of course, Chinese people only use soap for everything. Then they say wonderful to probably they are the first manufacturer to introduce the shampoo to China market. You have a few drops, you get a lot of good, foams and everything. Even like I shared with Richard yesterday, the first, product and olive make is they call it the beer shampoo. Just like, of course, and then Chinese people never used shampoo before, and then that's why they want to give them some imagination. Just like a beer, you get a lot of foams, and then that's why I try to attract the people. Later, we find a movie star from Hong Kong, and then we made another sort of soft hair, 100. Of course, 100 means 100 times better shampoo. So it gets really popular, gets really hard demand, very hot demand. Even trucks have to line up 3 to 5 days to wait and to pick up the products. That was really successful earlier startup, which I helped as a partner in Chongqing. And later time, of course, I started another metal door company because of China real estate's booming, and everybody before they buy furniture, they always want to buy a security door to protect their wealth. So that was another success. So shampoo manufacturer before Procter & Gamble came to China was the #1 manufacturer in cosmetics and in daily use and then goods. Steel door, of course, Mason Steel Door was also then the largest door manufacturer in China. I helped the business, which of course fortunate for me, and later, of course, because of my major in education, I always wondering if China grow economically, but if there's not enough education to help and then to sustain the economy, to make a better country and a better player for international community. So I thought, of course, if we should then help China in education. Then from 1996, I started to come back and forth in China, and I try to find out how I can help in China education. At that time, of course, most of China education is a very still, using very old model, like a Soviet Union model. It's really, of course, and very, famous for only learning knowledge, not anything else. So now, like in the U.S., we do liberal arts. We promote the holistic students and then education. We are around the knowledge. Of course, and then basically, and of course, and then at that time, Chinese students only focus on whatever major courses they have, and that's what they have to study. Memorization, just like of course everybody knows, that's what we do. Then I feel like, because what I benefited, of course, I went to Linfield College and in Oregon, and later on Willamette, and later transferred to UCLA. All one of my education is a small college and a liberal arts. Really, gave me a really good background, and also, really, by a comparison, I really say it's more innovative, education model. So I really like to introduce that model to China. Then I came back and then explore every city, see where I should locate if I do education. Later, of course, I consult as American citizen. I consult education ministry to figure out, in the middle of the 90s, there's no policy, no really policy for foreign company or foreign individual to come to China to higher education. There are some people doing like K to 12 education. So basically, and then that's and then I by talking to them, and then they said, of course, and then recommended me if I go to a province whichever is need more about higher education. Then by talking. And I found out that Honan province was the largest province in population. That time, I believe, is over 100 million. Now, Honan province is 112 million in population. Also, it's oldest province in China with 27 dynasty in China, 20 dynasty alone in this province, and also 8 Asian capital in China, and 5 of them in this province. So majority of history and is from this province, and then because they are very inner parts of China, and not very international, not very much connected with outside. So I feel like then this is probably the better place and the place most needed. Because of that time is 80% of this province and the farming. Many of them, of course, never even had a higher education. So 1978, I established the Sias University because this is a very inner parts. That's why I figured, of course, and then how we as Sias we can make a window as a bridge to reach outside the world, and then how we can educate and of course and then hardcore and then farmers' kids. Become a global citizen. So that's why I introduced the more liberal arts education, holistic education to start from this province. The beginning was very difficult, a big challenge, and people, of course, and then feel like it's so foreign to them, and then a lot of good concept, a lot of even like a liberal arts education model being practiced in the Western world for hundreds over years, but then nobody heard of that time before. So what's the challenge? So local people, and then feel like why you come here? Of course, when I describe to them what I want to do, I have beautiful international campus because this is a very cultural. Just like I said, the first Chinese emperor was born in our university city side. And there's a lot of history. Because and then when you talk to them about the global citizen, when you talk to them about a really beautiful international campus and European streets, and they feel like you are talking nonsense. But anyway, it was difficult. But then now we started in 1998, and now it's 98, and we are celebrating our 20th anniversary. And then we for the past 20 years, we really made the Sias really something. We were the first, of course, in the Sino-foreign university. We grew from 200 students now to 31,000. maybe go through and then Richard, maybe go through some slides.
Yeah,
So
I think that the slides are ready just for you to let's
push.
try just clicking.
Yeah,
see what happens.
Okay,
There,
a
good.
little bit
Okay,
about.
so this is the kind of been through this most of it.
Yeah, I did. Of course, 1998 we established, and of course, a little bit, and then something. Of course, as a foreign company or a foreigner, you come to China, you have to affiliate with Chinese and higher education entity to allow to issue a degree. So the best university and in Zhengzhou and in Hunan province is Zhengzhou University, and also we are the university to issue Chinese degree as well as American degree. American University is basically Fort Hays State University, which is one of the 7 Kansas state university. So that's how we work together. We were the first one to accredited by a degree and a state degree council and education ministry as a full-time undergraduate university to grant dual degree, American degree as well as a Chinese degree. We have just like, of course, Stanford is always my dream, and of course I went there many times, and then really influenced me greatly. And I think I need get enough land. It's not for, I always say, and I say it's not for 3 year and 5 year. It's not for 30 year, 50 year. It's for 300 or 500 years. So that's why I secured the land, even though of course a later time I still have some difficulty, but I secured about more than 400 acres land. That's why now half of our land is not being built. That's really reserved for more in the future. We have over, of course, 30,000 students. It's not what we want to grow. Of course, we're only 20 years old. And then it's basically demand in this province. And also, and then we're becoming very popular. Students have to have a very high score. Even like outside of a province, applicants, they have to have over 100 to 160 points more from our ADMIT 9. No coach students have to have like 50, even up to 80 points more. That's why even normally for private school in China, you admit 100 is only about 80 or 85 students come to register, but then our registration ratio is 97.8 last year. So that means you recruit 100, only 1 or 2 now coming. So that's why I made our population high. Now we are trying to control. We're trying to, of course, in China, you recruit students by quota. Government give you a quota. If they give you 100 quota, you cannot take the 101 or 99. You have to take exactly what you published. So we only can return some quota to government, so we can control students' population. And Sias gets very popular. Every year we have to reject about the first choice of applicant 8 or 7 thousand of people. So anyway, so that we have also some international students. We have 1,700 faculty, including of course, and then 140, 50, and foreign faculty. But majority of them American professors come to teach American courses. We cover all our majors. We don't have agriculture. Otherwise, we have almost everything. We started the master degree program with Zhengzhou University since 2008. So we also have some, of course, Fort Hays degree as well. It's a little bit about setup about our university. We have a probably only university and an earlier year 1999. We established the 501c and the non-profit organization, the foundation board in the U.S. and then of course California. And also our affiliation, one side you say is the Zhengzhou University, and then another side is Fort Hays State University. So we have 2 educational resources. We have educational resources from Chinese university and also educational resources from U.S. university. So we sort of a East Middle West. So that's basically a notion of our higher education. Our CS group, of course, was the one funding the university support and then financially and everything. So this sort of set it up. But the earlier time, and we are affiliation with Zhengzhou University, Sino-foreign, Because we grow so big, so famous, and as the Mountain, first Mountain University in Sino education. Education ministry feel like we are so big, cannot be a secondary and a college under somebody. So want us to be independent. So end of last year, so we become independent. We still have a foundation board, and then we still have a Fort Hays State University to as a partner. Of course, we have about close to 200 other international university partner now, and of course, we just want to introduce more degree partners. So that means that they can issue a degree on our campus. Students don't have to go abroad. They study 4 years, our credits and their credits to gain their degree. So recently, of course, working with the University of Arizona to also start to issue their degree. Still a Sias group is today, of course, and still the one to support and helping the university. We have 16 schools. I'm not gonna go quick. I want to save more time for you to ask questions, and also we can discuss a lot of current issues. Like Richard mentioned, we can do more about how entrepreneurship in China or some of the foreign company, how they do in China. So we're gonna get into those issues. So that's why I don't want to go very quickly. We have a foundation board, and many of them are entrepreneurs, and then in the US. Also, and then like a vice president of Japan, vice president of Motorola, many, of course, corporate leaders, and also charity leaders, and then mayors, and then all kinds of people. We have 36 board members helping us. Why Sias become successful? And I guess a huge and then contribution due to our board member. They basically giving a lot of big help, raising money, not a lot, but again, also raising the resource to support Sias. So that's why we say, and then Sias is a fusion of East and West. And there is, of course, in China, you get a lot of Oriental culture, or you get a lot of Oriental resource in China. But the Western elements and then resources is not enough. That's really board members helping us tremendously. They did a lot of programs, leadership program, women symposium, or Future Women Academy, many, of course, and a mentor program, and you can name it, and many of them. So that's why Sias is really very unique in terms of those programs there. We also, and then again, just a liberal arts education. We also, and then we totally are residential college. In China, of course, and then most of, I guess, even for our university, probably 99 or more than 99% of our students stay on campus. So that's why you build a university. It's not only build a classrooms, a library, or laboratory, but you have to build the streets, the dining rooms. We have hundreds, we have a few hundred of in a restaurant and then dining hall, and also because and then 31,000 plus other faculty stay on this campus. We are more like a city. We're not only like a school, because you have to build more dormitory. But we have few dormitory together. We make a residential college. So this is the way we are not. We using the cross-border study. We are around it, and then ability. So many things we basically put into residential college to do, and then only our professional school are doing a majors for them. But again, residential college basically doing a lot of entrepreneurship, innovation programs and everything. So that's why Sias and a very different model. That's why it's very successful. Our educational model is basically just like I said, and the liberal arts education. Of course, you are very familiar with that. I don't want to go in depth. And then actual curriculum activities basically more like a residential college, and then cultural environment. Basically, we made a very cultural impact, and even for on our buildings, and we made some more exaggeration, which is impact and then visual impact is also very important for our students' growth. I don't want to go through and then liberal arts education module, and then I just want to save some time. We can talk something more interesting if you need. We do a lot of social responsibility. This is some of the pictures from this one, the water conference. We even invite many Nobel Prize and winner to talk about. So we even we even started earlier with, Vice President Al Gore to, to promote our environment issue, earlier in a year, 10, 20 years even before. So we started some of those. We also, because we are, and our university located at the birthplace of a first Chinese emperor. So we every year we do like a Chinese emperor culture symposium. So we do a lot of, invite many famous speakers. We want, of course, introduce them more about the Western culture as well as the traditional culture and history as well, to help our students. Don't forget that they themselves are Chinese. We always invite, because we are located in a very sort of a little bit now in Beijing, Shanghai, and then big cities, and sometimes you don't get much resource from big VIP. So we have VIP lecture series. So every Wednesday we don't have a afternoon, we don't have a class. We always invite many famous speakers to really help students to open their mind and to help them to see what is really in the world. My vision to do a different education is basically trying to help students to gain a true knowledge of everything, true knowledge of economics and religion, culture, everything. So that's why we invite speakers to come to really give them the knowledge, censored, knowledge. This is basically arts education, because as I said, we have many modules, many elements of how the liberal arts education. We emphasize on sports and then arts and the music very heavily. So that's why we're very strong. We have 2 symphony groups. We're very on top of competition of many sports, many and dancing and then music was really one of the best and then from Sias University. But pretty famous for many of them. Sports, and this is our Olympic, and then we do that every year. Very high class. We do everything. We even do a high table. Of course, we teach our students how to eat Western food, how to use forks, and how to dress, how to date. I mean, a lot of things and are supposed to be done in a basic education, even like a K-12 education. You know how Chinese sometimes some of their education elements is not done enough, but then we have to make it up for higher education, especially on how you can carry on better manner, courtesy when you deal with other people. We do a lot of free market, and we do a lot of international culture week. So every year we have every month we have a theme activities, international culture week, and every day so much, and then exhibition, film, performance, lectures. So really helping students to gain multinational culture around the world. This is our charity banquet. We do that as well, and then so we help students to understand how to do charity work and how to raise money and to do then social responsibility. We are very much like a regular Western university, and a lot of activities, events, and then you are familiar. Our school opening was the biggest. We always invite top-notch speakers to really impact students, to initiate the students into Sias' very special culture. So this is the candle night, and then 2,000 senior students, and then to welcome and then 8,000 or 9,000 freshmen. So over 10,000 students light a candle using this kind of very cultural ceremony to initiate them into this very special place of Sias. Graduation, for everybody has graduation. But graduation, of course, we have a lot. We give a lot of scholarship for them to go study abroad. Every year we send about 400 or 500 students, and then abroad. We encourage them to have long-term, short-term international experience. As international university, that's what we really promote very heavily. Swim pool, we don't swim pool a little bit is because this is designed by American swimming team, and then a very top-notch and German technology. But only of course in China 2008 Olympic, they don't allow Olympic athletes to go out of Beijing. So they help us to design this, supposed to use this as a practice, but they never use it. But then we got a really wonderful one for ourselves. So this is a student center, and this is actually is our Russian square. It's a Russian. We have 12 European streets. This is a Russian streets. This is a Spanish street. Of course, and then all of them upper part and upstairs is the dormitory, and then the first floor are the shops, and then actually to give to students to open the coffee shop, stores, and all kinds of restaurants and entrepreneurship. So we are very, of course, and this is a university really encourage students to become entrepreneur on themselves, just like using my as example. And I made up everything myself. Then I figured out how I can help China through education. So that's why I want my students also, have an entrepreneur and a spirit. And then if they can become successful, they can do more social work and then to help others. So that's how we design this 12 European streets this way. Not sure. This is of course 12 European streets. We have a French, we have a German, we have Italian, we have a London, Greek. We have many of them. Of course, maybe didn't show enough pictures. We have 3 track and field because sports are very. We're big sports university, but this is even indoor track and field. Really good facility. Every facility in Sias is air conditioning. So that's why, and then our facilities, much superior than many other schools. Golf, we are the only university in this province have golf major. Work with American Golf College from Arizona and from Florida. So we have this. We also have 12 European streets. We also have 8. We call that theme garden. This is Chinese garden, French, German, Alhambra, Greek, and then so that's basically every garden, not only landscaping, but more so architect and other design. So that's why Sias is a beautiful campus. It's not only lined up buildings, but more cultural campus. This is a London street, actually. Well, because you see through, we have a river passing by, just very much like like London, Big Bang and a similar. So this is a London street, beautiful and beautiful streets inside. A lot of London bus there, of course, even though it's fake, but again, we just made invitation. Why we make a European street? First, when I come to this province, I found out majority of our students are from farming community. I mean, they never have opportunity to go abroad. But I never can imagine how do I make a international university if they don't even go abroad. So I figure if they cannot go, of course, when mid of 90s, I mean, China still not so open, not so grow and not so developed. And then now, like now, of course, and then everybody have money, they travel around. So that time I say, okay, that time I say, if they cannot go abroad, they cannot go see other country, let me just bring all an international, every country into this province, so students at least have opportunity to see what it is. For instance, Spanish street, everything science, everything's in Spanish, and then French street, everything's in French. So that's why Chinese students sometimes they say foreign letters, they feel like it's all English actually. So that's how we help them to understand the difference of different streets. This is our library and the evening. Of course, we have fountain. We have another. This is a south fountain park. We have a north fountain park, even more amazing, but inside it's still a little bit under construction. So this is, of course, we want to make a nice place for the future and the manpower talents. It's not, of course, you only squeeze some knowledge to them. It's basically you want to grow them in different environment. They have seen the best of everything. So that's why they can be more creative and more innovative. This is our music school. And then there's a free and a beautiful theater in it. This is a wall. You can even like evening, they can do like music notes and the music on. So that's why the building is like a music box. This is our classrooms. Of course, it's all the middle is our administration building. Administration building as what like really, China popular fan building. One side look like a Tiananmen, another side look like a White House. So if our students say, "Oh, come to meet me," either you meet me in the Tiananmen Square or you meet me in the White House. So of course, then the other students feel like a Chinese. Our students are crazy. Where do I go? And then none of them is in Zhengzhou. But anyway, this is basically our classrooms and the module. This is because we do a lot of this is board, of course, the Women Academy, and every year we gather 5 women students and their mothers together to talk about how we can help women students to grow better, to against the bias and the prejudice to them. This is we have a future information technology institute, like a 50 school. So it's more like how we build a better school to cut the last mile of our education. As our graduates and the needs of corporate there's some gap, how we can shorten that. There is a lot of we also this is a China called Xunfei. They call it iFly Tech, and then basically is one of the best AI company in China. So we now, of course, work with many top company, have them to teach major courses, and then we teach them basic. So basically, we just like Google, Google engineer to teach all and then whatever AI courses, then not university professor to teach because they are more innovative. They have a more frontline and knowledge. So anyway, this is a new school. We set that up. We want to set up many schools with the top notch and then corporate in the world. We receive another lots. I cannot even describe another. We many years and then CCTV and English speech channel. People say because we issue American degree, our students English is good, but also we have many years and then Chinese debating champion as well. We have to beat everybody. We have to win over Tsinghua University, Beijing University. Now, of course, in English, but of course in Chinese debating. Now Chinese debating because it's international Chinese debating. Harvard University, Stanford, and then everybody join. So we have to beat everybody. So Sias is really national robust yesterday, and then national accounting contest. So many, and then different things nationally, internationally. That's why, and as education ministry says, and then Sias phenomenon needs to be studied. How could your students are now the top students in China, but again you won so many awards and then hundreds of awards a year, and then you really bring students and potential to make them something. So that's why, of course, I'm not take time to mention so many achievements we have, and then stand out, and then so much in the educational circle in China. Even we provide, because our English is really good, we provide, of course, hundreds of speakers to many China national conferences. Of course, in the middle, Bill Gates is basically our students, and in the students, not even graduates, as a personal manager for many leaders, many, and then big conference in China. So basically, we have a lot of awards, even like down the yours on the right hand side. Liu Huihui is our graduates, won an Olympic champion by javelin. So we really produce a lot of powerful graduates, and really even some of them are certain type of really top profession or heroes, and then something in their own work field. Anyway, so school is a lot, and then I didn't, of course, and then talk a lot more, and then I like to put some time for students, for audience to ask questions, so we can discuss what is your interest.
Well, thank you, Dr. Chen.
Actually, Mark, let me ask a couple of questions and say a couple of things first.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, this is truly an amazing place. And the more you hear about it, the more amazing it really becomes. As an entrepreneurship problem, this is getting into an established industry, right? The university education had been going on in China. And there are severe competitors. There are always incredible competition for government resources. And it takes at least 10 or 12 years to show the results of a new university approach, because you have to let people graduate and go out and work and see how they do. So it is absolutely amazing what Dr. Chen has done here. I have a couple of questions that I want to ask. First of all, I want to ask if you're seeing changes now about what students need now that's different from what they used to be.
Right. Well, especially just like I said, this province, I was willing to come to this poor province and then to help education. I feel that time if I can change this province through education, and then there will be a better China, because and then you can understand how sometimes the farmers' kids are very conservative. They have not seen enough outside the world. So they definitely, and then through Sias, you can see a change, because and then we have hundreds of successful graduates. Even in terms of entrepreneurship, we a couple of years ago we held an alumni a conference. We invited about first 100 alumni who made 100 million yuan and successfully through their own business. Definitely, and of course, their sharing of how they started only a free market from Sias, then grow into such a big business for themselves. And then definitely that's definitely a change through Sias platform and education.
Okay, and my second question before I give the floor to Mark for a minute is really ask you for advice for a foreign entrepreneur who is in a highly regulated industry. What kind of advice would you give to people about how to work with the government here? How to work with the Chinese government?
Right, and Chinese government actually gradually more and more, and they promise, of course, and then they say one of our trade negotiation recently is U.S. of course want to try to be more open. And a certain industry was not opened even for the past many years. Of course, China promised to open more. That's one direction. I believe, of course, by the pressure of international community. If China grown up as a bigger country and a bigger player, definitely needs to be a better player in the community. So I believe that's China going to open more. Now, this is actually challenging question. It's basically many foreign companies come. A big difficulty is Chinese environment, and especially Chinese business environment, is very complicated. It's now so direct in the Western world. Because of this complication, many foreign companies at the beginning, they come, they just get lost, and sometimes they lose. But you still see many foreign companies are very successful, made a lot of more money because of their management, because of technology and advantage, because of of course, market demand. There are a lot of China now. Many people have money. Of course, last week I was having a meeting in Japan. They just basically a national holiday on a May holiday. They bought a whole toilet of the whole store. I mean, they just basically stocked and then 5 times and then regular time, but then they just bought all. So everywhere they go and then they buy everything. I believe if something in a quality or technology in a high demand, and there is a market. Of course, your question is how to deal with government. That's a difficult one, not only for foreign company, even for me, myself. Government is really, it's not only say bureaucracy, different period of time. The beginning when I come back to China, of course, in China at that time is basically not really regulated very much. And then if you have a good relationship, you buy your wine and dine people. I don't say in a corruption. If you get a good relationship, you get them information, you get because government control a power, control and then basically a lot of information. So if you especially approval, and then everything you do, you need to get approval from them. So getting approval, and that's a big and then resource and then for you. Of course now, and then a lot of them is changed. Of course, and everything is in the platform. But even though this is sort of still a Chinese customs culture, you still need to have good relationship. I say foreigner because of language, because of culture. If you do something, you better have a Chinese and either partner or hire some of the local Chinese people to help you out to do PR. I mean, the PR work, and it's not only typical in China, but even in the US, of course, every company have a PR section, PR manager, and then that's why public relation is not only to government, to a lot of different sector of society as well. So my advice would be, using local, using also, and then just like myself, and then I spend a lot of time to do PR, to let the government know what I do, and then what I can do better for local and community and our society.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Mark, as I turn the floor to you for a second, I first of all want to say thank you very much for anchoring from the Stanford side. Everyone, Dr. Mark Cummings has been a very respected associate for me for a long time. We have been together at a number of universities in China, as well as working on projects here. And Mark is extremely committed to new types of solutions to internet policy, and I'm delighted that you can be here, Mark. Mark, would you move the computer so that we can see you, and then maybe you can turn it around and let us see the audience.
All right. I don't know if this is working.
There you go. Now I see you.
Okay.
Right.
So the camera is working, and I can turn it to focus on the audience.
Right. Right. Might lower it just a little bit. We're seeing the ceiling.
First, I would like to ask.
Can you lower the camera? We're seeing the ceiling. Just turn the.
How's that?
There you go. Okay. And then move it a little bit further on.
Well, I'm afraid if I move it much further, we'll lose connections here. That's about as good as I can do. How's that?
Okay. Well, that's all right.
At least you got a section of the audience.
Yeah.
So I'd like to open it up first to the students in the room. Do you have any questions for Dr. Chen or Dr. Dasher? That's not a reason to run away. It's just an opportunity. Yes, please.
Hi, Professor Dasha. This is Feng Yi. I guess you can hear me.
It's Feng Li.
Feng Yi, yes. So my question is, first, I have two questions actually. The first question is about their admission requirement, like what kind of students they would admit into the school.
So let me repeat the question. The first question.
Yeah, Mark, we're going to need you to do that.
The first question, Dr. Chen, is about your admission requirements. How would you characterize your admission requirements? Did I correctly answer?
Yeah, like what students do you that would be qualified to be selected?
Our university admission requirements, of course, I want to talk a little bit about the China higher education. China has, of course, three categories of higher education. Biggest one is a public university, about 65-68%. Another one is a private university, domestic, we call the domestic and private university, roughly about 20%. The third category we call the Sino-foreign. Sino-foreign is basically like Shanghai, New York, Duke, Nottingham, Sias. Sias was the first one, of course, and for this category, open up the first university to issue American bachelor degree. Why I talk about the high three category? Because in an earlier time when China, of course, in the U.S. you automatically your university like Stanford, and then you recruit, you send your admission because you make your own decision. China, of course, in the admissions decision is not solely by a university. In conjunction, decisions made by the government. Of course, every province has a government agency to manage recruitment. First, of course, and then they divide it into 3-tier school. Number one, of course, the public university, top-notch university, and of course, they recruit the first. They recruit the highest score. Of course, every year, in June 7, 8, 9. Now it's the same in July 7, July 8 are the national examination day. Students take examination, and then about a couple of weeks later, all of them get a score. Not only once examination, not like of course in the US you take an ACT, SAT many times, and so after you get a score, then you student government of course, and then it's all those process like examination scores, not done by university, done by government. So then they publish each one's score, and then they give the notice of how many scores you have, how much scores you have. Then according to the score you have, then you apply. That moment you apply. It's not, of course, a year before. Or Stanford, you apply by December. Then you apply for which school you want to go according to how much scores you have. If you have a really top-notch, you want to go to Tsinghua University, Beijing University, or you have a medium and you want to go this and go that. So that's what it is, and then the process. Then government gave every university quota, just like earlier I mentioned. If they give you 100 quota, you cannot take 101 or 99. You have to take exactly what is published to the public. For instance, Sias have over 9,000 or 10,000 quota. So that's why our quota was high. And then, you cannot imagine, a regular university like us, and even like to recruit that 9,000 or 10,000 students, for some of them don't come, and that's still large number for one school. Of course, we are in a province, and then every year they have almost 1 million, high school graduates to apply for colleges. So that's why not enough colleges here. That's why our score gets high, and then that's also difficulty for students to go to a university in this province. So the admission is basically when the government gave you a notice, of course, everyone. Then the students start to apply for. Then for us, of course, they basically apply. They don't send the application to us. They send the application to government platform, and then government gave that information to us. And then whoever apply for us, if our school, of course, when one tier, second tier, or second tier, and when the second tier to start to recruit. The government download all those people who apply to us into our computer. Then we also, and then they give, for instance, we have 100 quota. They gave us 120. But even if they give us 120, but then we still have to go by a score. Then we have to pick up the higher score first. If we got enough through our quota, and we stop from there. Sometimes we even for instance, if our score is we take people who are above 520. If we start from 520, but if we that one score, sometimes there is 10, 20 people within one score. There's that many people, then we have to take them all. For instance, we have 100 quota, and then we only can take 101. But I think the last score is 100. For instance, 520. But then last score, because there's the 5 people or 10 people applied us, we have to take them all. That means we have to increase our quota from government because we have to take more to be fair for everybody to get in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
What was the second question?
Yeah, what was the second question?
So you mentioned a lot about.
A little louder so I can hear.
Oh, sorry. So I think you mentioned a lot about how the university is trying to encourage the entrepreneurship in the education. But I'm very curious about what field are those graduates got involved after, how, is there any specific industries this graduates?
Okay, I think I understand the question. So the focus of the question, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is entrepreneurship. And the questioner is asking about what industries your graduates practice their entrepreneurship in. Did I correctly state your question? Thank you. Dr. Chen, did I make the question clear?
Yes. Talk about entrepreneurship, what the industry,
Correct.
the graduates and more on practice and entrepreneurship. Just like I said, we built the 12 European streets. Many of our students start to like a flea market, or even we have a box and then store. How we call a box store is basically all the shelf are small boxes. So our students go around, figure out what kind of products they can put into the box. They don't have to buy a lot. They don't have to get a lot of stock, but they buy little. If they try it from that box, students buy, students want it. We have a store with only every mini box. So they rent a box or get a free box. So if they try it works, then they take a few more box, or they take a whole store. So many our students are started from just simple daily goods, clothing or tools or anything. So and then after they are successful, and then they get a whole store. And after success, whole store, they open bigger. And so many of them, of course, and then later time, when they have more money, more capital themselves now, they do like Internet Plus. So they do more like online shop stores. So many of our graduates are successful in online shopping. Online, of course, even made, of course, different specialty or special kinds, or even like online shopping for international. So that was, of course, and then internet and then shopping was a big one. And of course, as our statistics saying, and then many graduates, because when they come to campus, we encourage them on the streets to do work. That's one. But of course, and our graduates, because just like I said, we don't have agriculture. We have almost everything: medicine, PE, arts, business, law, architect. Many of them. So that's why our graduates serve all kinds of industry, because they just basically go to a whole world and then to work, not only work in China, but they also work everywhere.
Do you have any figures on how many of your students go abroad for graduate study after they get their undergraduate degree?
We normally about 5% from our graduates. So
5% out of a several thousand student graduating class.
Right. So roughly then 400 or 500 each year for long term. Of course, majority still go to US. Of course, and then that's why sometimes when I travel to Africa, and somebody call me and I say president, and then I was really surprised. How do you know? I'm your student.
And you also mentioned that companies like iFlyTech are teaching some of the advanced technology classes here. Are they picking up any of your students after the students graduate?
Yes.
Is the local industry really changing so that there is more high-tech industry here?
There are, and every city, of course, China promote innovation and entrepreneurship, and then since 2015, because of that huge big movement, China when China wanted to do something, they always do then like a movement, so they can promote them better. Definitely, every city compete with everyone to introduce more high-tech company to come to the city, because that's actually the future. They don't want, of course, all the manufacture and make a pollution and then so labor intensive.
Right.
So everybody want to change and more and then profitable and it's a future high tech.
Okay.
It's for our students, and then of course you talk about high flight tech. What it is, of course, we form an AI school with them, and then we teach basic. We teach of course the core courses. Other than general education courses, and they teach major courses, professional courses, laboratory, and then intern practice. So actually, AI and engineer are very, very high demand. It's not enough because for this digital transformation and the whole China huge. They short of a couple of million computer engineers who either big data or artificial intelligence. there's very, very high demand. I mean, just don't get enough graduates.
Okay.
So every either good or bad, and then every just if you major in this AI, and then or they take off.
Okay.
So that's why, and then we form this AI school here.
Okay, thank you. Next, Mark.
Yes. A question here.
I have a question on graduate school. Are you more interested in the future in establishing professional schools like medicine, law, architecture, business, or would your focus on trying to become an R1 research university?
So the question is about the graduate program. And the questioner creates a dichotomy. On one side are professional schools, medicine, law. On the other side is research, and he characterizes it in terms of the U.S. structure, an R1 university. And he says, he's asking, are you trying to do one or the other? Did I say it right?
Yes, and I believe then we go both hand by hand. We definitely, as a regular university, we need to produce a lot of professional talents. We need doctors. We need architect, engineers. So we need of course money, and then that's still as a normal society, and those kind of jobs still available, and the demand is there. Of course, we definitely cannot say we go forego our professional school and only go and focus on research. But and of course, we see as actually, of course, I didn't mention among the private schools in China, we're one of the best research and then university and then as well. We beginning, of course, the first 10 years we didn't pay much attention, but the last 10 years so really catch up. Now the very many university hire full-time research and a professor, and we are the one. Of course, we have about 70 now. Recently, we reduced to like a 40 full-time research professor. They don't teach, then they give only lectures, but then they do only research and programs. Why we reduce? Because and then some of the really professor really they don't really do good job, so we reduced that. But again, and then research, scientific research is one of the high and then priority, and also and then focus for our next 20 years development. Even though we are doing good and in terms of the numbers and then or our periodical population, and then we are one of the best one. But again, we feel like compete with public university in China, and we are so behind. We're still so behind. And as a private school, we don't get a funding from government totally, and 100% depend on tuition and also our own company support, and also we raise money. And because we, in the first 20 years, we want to get better students. So that's why we lowered our tuition. Our tuition, even though we have the best facility, good professor, but our tuition is the lowest. But I don't know how you understand this. We are the lowest among private schools in China, also Sino-foreign schools in China. We only collect about 13,000 yen a year, but we got approval for over 22,000. So this way we can basically getting more competitive among the private school. And if they cannot go to a top-notch school, and then they will come to us, not only we give them a scholarship, but our tuition is low enough to be more attractive.
Thank you.
Let me point out that, one of the things about what Dr. Chen has done that really fits in more with social entrepreneurship than with entrepreneurship for a regular for-profit company is that there's no obvious exit pattern. Most of the startup companies are created, they grow, and they expect either to become a public company or to be bought by some big company. That sort of a future is not really possible for a university. So how do you see the road to sustainability for Sias University?
Well, and then just like I said, and then number one, a founder has to have a vision for a long term and for then education, because it's not, of course, even you talk about regular business, you have exit plan. Of course, university is not really exit. When I first then opened the university, become a famous and successful, so many company wants to buy Sias. And L'Oreal Group, one of the U.S. company, they've been following us and for many years. They keep coming back and then saying we want to invest in you. And I say, well, we don't want to make a profit. And I totally want to make this university, want to help China. I want to basically become a good school. So and then our graduates has voice. And this is the way, of course, the better way to change China when they have a voice. So we don't really, of course, say this, of course, and then the university is then like a company, and you go exit. Just like I said, and then when I do a Sias, it's not for 3 year or 5 year. It's not for 30 year or 50 year. It's for 300 or 500 years. So that's why you want to set up a foundation, even the land. And then I really secured a huge land. I'm still, trying to say, of course, you look around our campus. Before was a farm around ourselves. So we can get as much as you want. But now everywhere is being built in China. Now, around our university, even our North campus was even occupied by so many other people. And we have to spend the money kicking them out. So it was difficult. If I don't get the land secured now, you can imagine you never can buy land or even get a land, or even land will become so expensive. So that's basically, you really have to have a longer vision. Then I believe in the history, Stanford is not in the primary location, like on the East Coast. But now, then Stanford make a Silicon Valley. Now I believe Sias is not in the region and in the primary location like Beijing and Shanghai. But again, because of this internet, and doesn't really matter distance anymore. And I believe we can better function, and then we can do a better successful work in the future. So sustain and then become a better school, excellent school is always our drive. And then we push very hard, and then we work very hard on it.
I suspect there are other possible questions from the audience, but we're sort of near the end of the time for the class. So I'm going to do something that is sort of cheeky, but I very much want to let Dr. Chen have something from Stanford to say thank you very much for your presentation today.
Thank you so much, Richard, giving me the opportunity to share. There's a lot, of course, we even have not in touched, of course, and I thought that we're going to talk more about the U.S.-China trade and the negotiation and everything. But we really have to make a time and come back. And then, of course, this one is more so focused on education. But there's a lot of current issue. And I believe we all are interested, and then both from Chinese people as well as American people, how we can build a better relationship. And because the number one, number two, never can fight.
And I think that your international focus is exactly one half of how we'll get through this kind of difficult time. The other half is for us to try to support it. I'm very happy to meet Dr. Chen. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you for the gift. So thank
Dr.
you,
Chen,
and then Mark, and thank you, and then everyone in the classroom. So let's keep in touch, talk more.
So Dr. Chen, thank you. Richard, it sounds like you've got a little bit of a cold. I hope you take care of yourself.
Yeah, I'll live, I think. Thanks, Mark. Okay. I think everybody, there's some refreshments outside the auditorium, so please stay around and get to know each other. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.